Hello. I'm going on with my State of the School for 2025. That's last year. And this is, I think, the fourth video. There aren't going to be 78 of them like there were last year when I did this. But it's going to take me a while, mostly because I just, there was so much stuff that happened here over the last year. The one before took so long because I went into the past of the school and my travels and all over the place, so I would get it on record somehow. This year I'm going to stick to what happened last year, but there was a lot. I'm going to see though if I can go through it fairly briefly. Um, I mentioned water, water walks. I mentioned them and that they are in chronological order and any given date, I can see what I was doing on a water walk and what the Zanjas looked like at that time. Uh, Now, I don't want to use this opportunity to explain in any kind of detail about Bisses and Zanjas. Zajas de Infiltración would be the Spanish, but I pronounce it as if it were English, Zanjas. They are the contour ditches about this wide, only about that deep, that I have, maybe I have to do that higher, about this wide, sometimes a little wider, and about that deep, that I have all over the property. And as much as possible, I keep water in them and drop them from one to the other. Uh, they have to be on perfect contours for that to happen. And I don't know any good English word that really explains what they are. So I just, but there is the Spanish word, zajas, especially when it's zajas de infiltración. So I just figure I'll just start using a Spanish word since I don't know an English one. Anyway, every spring during the runoff season, I devote a lot of time every day to getting them going again, cleaning them out, adding to them to some extent, maintaining them, and mostly perching water, keeping the runoff here instead of letting it run off as much as possible. This is also called decentralized retention of water. If you would Google that, you might be able to find something about that. Holding water without dams. Now, they get the water from weirs, which are light dams, but they don't impound water, they just divert it. See, I'm going on about Zanjas, but anyway, there's the key word. And if you are curious about it, you just go onto my YouTube channel and there in the middle, there's that little spyglass kind of a thing to say search, but that's for the channel itself. And Zanja with an S on it, maybe. Zanja or Zanjas would give that, and of course Bisse, or maybe with an S. Bisses. There are scores, probably hundreds of videos on that subject. And so I devoted the normal time to more than normal because I was still influenced by that drought, remembering how I so much wished that I had held more water on the mountain if I could. So I spent a lot of time at that. And the pigs have been a major factor. They enabled me to restore ones that I had dug 50 years ago, because they rooted the sod up enough to soften it so that I could fairly easily go. I don't use a plow for any of this. So I've talked about them, but what was new there, and I'll include this at the same time, I think, is I began a Bisse, which is slightly different. A Bisse is not on a perfect contour. A Bisse, that's the French Swiss word for it. Once again, there isn't really a sequia is a Spanish word for it, but there isn't really an English word for it. It carries water to an area where Zanjas then can let it soak in. But a Bisse wants water running through it, but not very fast, not too fast, so very nearly on a perfect contour. Well, I threw myself into developing some Bisses up in the woods itself, particularly one that I call Barbi Bisse, because I had found that I can use clear plastic pallet wrap, it's called, and it does not biodegrade in the sun. So even though it's been a year or more than half a year since I've been up there, I imagine the plastic is right there, and all I have to do is rearrange it and stuff and get the water going in it. So from a spring up there, which I call Barbi Spring because it's on my youngest sister's land, and she gave me permission to do this, I diverted that water and carried it out all the way to the field. Before I was done, I had water all the way across an aqueduct, which is only about well, you probably can't see it again, only about 3 feet high, and earthen. It's not stone or wooden. Across an aqueduct to get across the saddle, and got over to a hilltop. But it was late by the time I got the water that far. This year, I'll be able to get the water there much sooner, much sooner. So one of the things that I think is going to be happening this year is I'm going to be soaking this hill as much as I can. So that's Barbi Bisse. And once again, if you would, if you want to know more about it, just go to the search on my channel and put down Barbi is the way I spell her name. Sometimes there's an E there, and then Bisse. So those two things occupied a lot of my time during the spring runoff season, and I only stopped on both of them when the water finally stopped, which was basically in late June. Bye for now.